My brothers and sisters, you are now watching The Gamer 2323, so just forget about the chores you're supposed to do. Put your feet up, get your Kool-Aid, fried chicken, popcorn, get whatever you may need. And I hope you enjoy the video.
Alright, man, so this is the episode that we all needed to see. This was the episode I was really looking forward to seeing because Morgan is one of my favorite characters in this show. He's an OG cast member. He was in the very first show of The Walking Dead in season 1, episode 1. Rick would not be alive today. Rick Grimes would not be alive today doing the boss things that he does if it was not for Morgan. Okay, so he started off the show, but then we didn't see him again until season 3 in the Clear episode, and dude was crazy. Dude was gone. Okay, so it was like this episode to me was really important to see how he got from that point to where he's now like a pacifist. You know, he'll defend himself, but when it comes to violence, to killing people, he's completely against that. So to see that transformation of this character, that's why we really need to see episode like this, and I really enjoyed this episode. Now, some people thought this episode was boring, that, you know, it was just like, because, I mean, listen, the first 3 episodes, yes, 0 to 100, action-packed, you're at the end of your seat the entire episode, but you can't have every episode like that. You kind of need that wind down, okay, breathe episode, and that's what this one was, but it was still really interesting to me if you like the character of Morgan, you know. So but again, some people thought this episode came at a bad time because what just happened to Glenn. And you still have people saying Glenn is alive, he's underneath the dumpster. And I'm just like, sucker, the man is Thanksgiving dinner. Thanksgiving came early for those walkers, and there's leftovers, bro. Now, they did say we're going to see Glenn again, somehow, some way. They never said if he'll be alive or dead. They just said they're gonna have some closure to Glenn's story, okay? So all you suckers saying he's underneath the he's underneath the dumpster waiting for Rick. Shut up. Okay, but it is still up in the air. But so but this episode, season 6, Walking Dead, episode 4, titled Here's Not Here. Here's Not Here indeed. So this episode was a 90-minute episode all about the Black Bruce Lee, Morgan. And again, the last time we really saw Morgan, he was crazy. The Clear episode, he was absolutely gone. Okay, so how did he get to being a pacifist? How did he get to saying, all life is precious, Daryl? So this episode, I'm not sure when they start to, because they show him when this episode first started, and he's still going around clearing. He's still going around saying, I have to clear, you know, so he's still crazy, you know, but I'm not sure if this is before Rick, Carl, and Michonne came across him in Clear, or if this is a little after. I'm guessing it's kind of afterwards, but, so you see him, he's still clearing, he's still killing walkers, he's killing anybody that, you know, that he sees. These 2 guys are trying to, I guess, I don't think they were a threat. I think the 2 guys that Morgan killed, I think they were actually like looking for help, and they were, you know, trying to get some help from Morgan, but they came across this guy at the wrong time, so they were trying to follow Morgan. Morgan hides, he comes out, right in the freaking throat to this guy, and then he chokes out this boy. And it's just like, man, it's like this freaking world is ruthless right now, you know. So he kills those 2 people. He's still clearing. He's killing every walker he sees. It's like he has to do it. It's like his purpose in life now. He has to kill these walkers. He has to kill everybody he comes across. He has to clear, you know, so he's crazy. He's going around clearing. He's talking to himself. He's freaking writing phrases. He's writing these freaking phrases on rocks in a blood. He's doing all this stuff, and eventually he arrives at this cabin in the woods. Not the movie Cabin in the Woods. Like, he actually arrives at this cabin in the woods, and someone is watching dudes every step. Like, they're saying, put that gun down. I'll give you one last chance. Put that gun down. You don't want to do this. Like, someone is watching his every step, and he's like this, you know, he's trying to see where this guy is. And then eventually, bam, he comes out. It's Eastman. It is Yoda. It is Gandhi. It is the mentor of Morgan. This is the guy who got Morgan into who he is today. And, I don't even know how they did it, but they made me care so much about Eastman in one episode. I loved Eastman. I loved his character, man. It was like a breath of fresh air, you know, just, you know, because he was the complete opposite for all these other characters, you know, that you see in The Walking Dead. So bam, out comes Eastman. He sneaks behind, Morgan, cracks him in the back of the head with like his staff stick, drags him inside of his house. He has this cell inside of his house. No one knows why, but he puts Morgan inside of that cell. Pretty good idea if you ask me. You have this crazy unknown black guy saying, I have to clear, and he just killed 2 people. Pretty good idea if you're Eastman. So like, after that, some time passes, and then Eastman, he tries to start up, you know, a little conversation with Morgan. He's trying to learn more about Morgan, to see who he is, where he's been, and to see if he still has people. He's trying to get through to Morgan, but Morgan, he's just like, when I get out of this cell, I'm gonna kill you. And it's just like, Eastman's like Gandhi. Like, he's like Yoda. He's so peaceful. Now, he can defend himself if worse comes to worse. But he's like freaking Gandhi. He's like peaceful. He's like, no, you won't. It's just like, you can see that this is going to be the guy, you know, that brings back Morgan, you know, from how he was in the Clear episode, you know. So I was like, how is this going to play out, you know? So eventually he tells, Morgan, hey, the cell's open. It was open the whole time. You just stayed in there. So Morgan, he gets up and he walks outside the cell. The door opens, and it kind of looked like Eastman got through to him. Second Morgan gets out of that cell, he goes straight at Eastman, and he's trying to kill Eastman. It's just like, Eastman, I'm just like, this is the most patient man. Like, especially in the world of The Walking Dead, this Eastman guy, he's like playing with fire. People are trying to kill him, and he's not trying to kill Morgan at all, you know. So eventually Morgan, he actually does get on top of Eastman, and he starts to choke him out. But Eastman like gets him off of him, and then he picks up that stick. Once he picks up that stick, it's over, Morgan. You ain't got no shots. And then eventually Morgan, he's like, he gives up because he realizes he's not going to be able to take on Eastman, you know. So he goes back. Before that, he said, Eastman was like, listen, I told you, you have 2 options. You can leave or you can stay, but you will not kill me. You know, so Morgan, he just goes back inside the cell like in that scene, he looked like a child that, you know, that just got told no to something. And it's just like, he goes back in the cell and just slams the door. And it's just like, Morgan's just like, whatever. But so, Eastman, he's trying to get through to Morgan. Like, that was a big part of the show, to try to bring back Morgan, you know, to try to get him, you know, back to how he was when we first seen him in episode 1 in season 1, you know. So Eastman, he's trying to poke at more, just trying to get a little info here, a little info there. So Eastman has this nice little setup going. He has his cabin in the woods. He's not completely safe. Yes, walkers do make their way to where he is, but it's enough for him to handle. He has this pet goat, and I think Morgan sees the way Eastman is and how peaceful he is and how he treats his goat and the way he treats him. You can kind of see it kind of takes him aback. Like, Morgan is not really sure how to react to this guy, because most people that's still alive in today's The Walking Dead, they're the complete opposite of Eastman. So you can see that Morgan is just like kind of confused by this guy. But eventually he starts to open up to Eastman and then like they actually start to talk. And I thought that was huge because Rick couldn't even get through to Morgan in the Clear episode. And you can make the case that Rick is really the only person that Morgan still has somewhat of a relationship with, and to see that Morgan couldn't even get through, to see that Rick couldn't even get through to Morgan, but this guy Eastman is, it just, really, showed the relationship, that these two had and the connection, that Morgan felt with Eastman. So eventually he starts to kind of open up to Eastman and tell more about himself. I think Eastman goes on like a run and he asks Morgan if he can watch the goat, because some walkers again, like, they will make their way there, but it's enough for them to handle. So, the goat was about to get, the goat was about to get eaten by these, walkers. And then, Morgan saved the goat, and, once, Eastman got back and saw that, Eastman, what did he do? He gave Morgan the freaking staff that he has now, the little huge stick staff. He gave that to, Morgan and he thanked him for saving the goat. I think the goat's name was, Tabitha, I think. And, but once he gives Morgan the staff, he starts to teach him, the fighting style. And I think it's called Aikido, if I'm pronouncing that the right way. So he starts to teach Morgan Aikido and the purpose behind it. And you can see like why Eastman does not kill. He's a pacifist. Like, he'll defend himself, but it was like, he gave him some book, I think, when Morgan was inside of the cell, and it said to never kill the most evil person even if they deserve it, or something like that. So that's why Eastman does not kill. And eventually Morgan adopts this trait. He adopts, the Aikido, and that's why Morgan now does not kill. He learned all of this stuff from Eastman. But eventually, I love the scene to where it was Morgan and Eastman, and it was like at dinner time, and they were eating, I don't know what the freak they were eating. it was like some freaking scraps or whatever. But so they were eating. And then Eastman tells his story to Morgan. He tells, what he's been through. And Eastman has been through the struggle for and this was before the apocalypse. So he tells this story about some guy named Crichton Dallas Howard or something. And he was supposed to be sent to a prison. But before they get sent to prison, they used to stay with Eastman inside of that cell. So that's why he has the cell inside of his house. Some people used to go there before they were sent to prison, and Eastman would question these people. And he was going on about this story. And then, so Crichton Dallas Howard, he went to a prison, but he broke out. And the only reason why he broke out was to ruin Eastman's life. So he killed his wife, his kids, and then he went back to the prison and surrendered. That was his only purpose, was to ruin Eastman's life. And just the way he was telling the story, you can see that it really got Morgan to thinking, if this guy can still be this way, after all he's been through, then, it's really no excuse for me to be completely gone, even all the stuff that, that Morgan has been through. So after that, Morgan really started to open up and come back. And I just love the relationship that these two had, Eastman and, Morgan. And so Morgan is finally starting to come back. He's starting to open up to Eastman. He tells him, of how he lost his wife and son, you know, and how his wife was, you know, a walker, and then he lost his son because his wife was a walker. And, you know, remember how, you know, in episode 1 back in the first season, you know, Morgan could not kill his wife because, you know, yes, she was dead, and yes, she was a walker, but it's still at the very beginning, like, it's very tough to try to put down a loved one being your wife, even if you know that they're not there no more. It's still, you're still seeing your wife. So it was like that whole thing. And you can definitely understand. And that's what's so good about that is one of the best things I like about this show. Like, you get to see, you know, how you get to see why people are the way they are in this show, and you get to see it from their perspective. So I thought this show really, you know, it made me understand why Morgan is the way he is. Eastman taught him everything he knew, and stuff like that, you know, from the fighting style to why he does not kill people, to why, you know, why he still believes in good in people. This episode, it really showed you all of that. So fast forward a little bit more towards the very end, Eastman was teaching Morgan more about this fighting style, Aikido, and like how to do the moves and stuff. And they were doing it outside, and like Morgan was like, "Do we have to do it here?" and I'm thinking the same thing. Like, you really want to do it here? I don't know how, because this man Eastman is like freaking. He's like freaking Bruce Lee. Like you should not have a walker just sneak up on you and bite him. Like, that's how Eastman, gets bit. So he's trying to teach, Morgan something. And then one of the walkers, it was the same walker that Morgan had choked out, with those two guys that were, I guess, trying to track, Morgan, and then he killed those two guys. It was the same guy that he choked out that came out of the woods, but now he's the walker. And Morgan sees that, and then he just kind of like zones out for a second, and then Eastman like pushes Morgan out the way, and that's how Eastman gets bit. But I'm like, really? That's how you're going to get bit? So he gets bit. It's like, dang, man, because I really started to like Eastman. Like, in one episode, they really made me like this guy's character, like his backstory and just the way he was. Like, you don't see people like that really too often in this show. So I really like Eastman's character, but to see the way he went out, I was like, dang, man, because I was wondering, like, if they were going to stay together and then somehow something happened to Eastman, but no, he got bit by a walker, and then, he had to put himself down. But before he went down, he came clean about the whole Crichton Dallas Howard thing, to where, like, even with that guy doing that to his life and killing his wife and kids, and how he still didn't kill this guy, he actually came clean, saying he kept that same guy in his cell and let him starve to death for like 47 days, but he said once he did that, he felt no better about himself, so that's why, Eastman is the way he is, even, torturing that guy and making him starve to death for what he did to his life. He said it didn't really do nothing for him. So that's why Eastman really is the way he is. That's why he does not, that's why he does not resort to, violence, and, but he taught everything to Morgan, and that's why Morgan is the way he is. And I just thought it was a beautiful episode. I really enjoyed this episode, man. And again, that's why I love a show like this. Like, you can even though everything Rick has been through, Rick is justified in his actions and the way he is. And now seeing it from Morgan's perspective, it's the same way. You can see why Morgan is the way he is. So I just thought this was a really good episode. We needed an episode like this to see how did Morgan get from where he was at in Clear to where, to how he is now. And I thought this episode, really showed that, man. So I really, like, literally every episode since season 6 has begun, every single episode I have enjoyed so far. Episode 1 through 4, I've enjoyed them all, man. This was definitely a great episode to me. It shows you more about Morgan and his story. I really enjoyed this episode a lot. And the next episode, man, it goes back to Alexandria. Again, we haven't really been there since the first episode, you know, so it's going back there. But again, I still think Rick and Morgan are going, I don't think they're going to have like a fight, but there's going to be some power struggle between these two because Rick, he doesn't think like Morgan, and Morgan does not think like Rick, but they're both justified in their actions. But there's going to have to be some power struggle between these two. But man, I just love this episode, man. And rest in peace to Eastman. And eventually, yes, the goat did get caught as well. so rest in peace to Eastman and his goat, man. I thought Eastman was a great, character. And after his death, you know, you can see that it just changed, Morgan, and he just went on, you know, just, you know, being the way he is now. So I thought it was a great, you know, story of how, you know, this guy, you know, came from how he was in the Clear episode, completely gone, like really not living really for no purpose aside from clearing, to how he is now, to where all life is precious. He learned all of that from this guy, Eastman. And I just thought the episode was really good, man. So, what did you guys think about this episode? Did you like it? Did you love it? Was it okay to you? Let me know down in the comments below. Do y'all suckers still think Glenn is somewhere alive? Like, y'all, people are still like, Glenn is underneath the dumpster waiting for help. Like, why can't you understand that? I'm just like, bro. I don't know. I like, again, there's definitely, Glenn, his story is not done. Because once they get back, once all the group gets back together, people are going to be asking, where's Glenn? And is that like, so I'm not saying his story is done. I'm just like, dude, I think he's either dead or he got bit. Period. That's where I am right now. But anyways, I really enjoyed this episode. This is an episode that we needed, showing more about Morgan. Thought they really executed this episode great. And, yeah, man, I really enjoyed this episode. Can't wait for the next episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Catch y'all in my next one, fam. Peace.